Come to me, child. I have the power you seek. I will grant your desires and make your dreams a reality. All I ask in return is a part of you, yourself, your soul. Worthless on its own, but I will make it great.
Or something like that, you know, warlocks and all that. But let's talk about them. In the player's handbook, it says warlocks are defined as making a pact with an otherworldly being, which admittedly is one of the most iconic tropes in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but we're gonna go beyond that. Can a warlock be without a patron? Could you be in charge of the pact that you deal? What other ways can we reflavor the warlock to be something a little bit different? A little bit unorthodox. Let's look at some ideas and concepts to make your pact a bigger deal. Welcome to the Cleric Corner. My name is Riker, and here we talk about all things Dungeons & Dragons, tapping into our higher powers to create worlds that are more unique and stories that are more impactful. Don't forget to check out the other classes that I'm doing in this series. Luckily, no one has to sell their soul for these ideas, but remember that they are my own, and if you have a different opinion or do things a little bit different, that's okay. You can either ignore or expand on things to make your worlds and your warlocks the way that you want to. But with the warlock in its bare bones, we see a spellcaster that is limited in spells or magical ability. Don't get me wrong, they are a force to be reckoned with, but they don't have the same flexibility as some other spellcasters have. Without being born into magic or having the intelligence perhaps to learn it, they have to look for outside sources to be able to wield it. So let's look at 10 other ways that we can have our warlock get their magic. And instead of you selling your soul to a contract, you're the one making the terms. This warlock I call the Siphon. And these warlocks realize that there are many sources of magic throughout the world, and instead of asking nicely, they take it by force. What if you have an atropal stuck in a demiplane that you keep on your person, siphoning magic from every day as an undead warlock? At least I think it's an atropal. D&D Beyond didn't have a pronunciation guide. But another way is you pump actual demon blood through your veins via an IV, taking on more fiendish warlock capabilities. Or you manage to trap a Hollyphant on your back in a glass tube, and you channel divine magic through it, becoming more of a celestial warlock, almost like a divine battery. But if you feel like trapping monsters is too far down the alignment scale, you can petition the local artificer to make an arcane battery of some sort. Your patron being some sort of AI that pumps you full of this arcane magic, giving you a certain amount of slots before it needs to charge up again for a while. And this could come from other magic items in a similar way, but the point is, your warlock is setting the terms in this relationship. But what if we took that idea and expanded it just a little bit further? Instead of your warlock making a pact with some divine or demonic being, they were that being. And this deity either made their pact with themselves or fell from heaven due to a breach in contract with some other deity. This warlock, the mortal, is a husk or a shell of what it once was. It could have been forcibly pushed out of its pantheon to dwell amongst the mortals on the material plane. This could be a trial or a punishment that it either went willingly or by force, or they were jealous of all the mortals who were living normal lives and just wanted to be a part of them. They could want to retire from their heavenly throne, or they could want to give up their power to some other god that could be better fit for their domain. In the process, they gave up most of their magic, only leaving a fraction of what they had. This deity could come from any other plane. It could be a genie that was tired of immortality, or a devil that made a deal with a wizard and somehow got back its vessel. Another fun element of lore is the Kuatoa, which actually by their sheer belief as a civilization, they create gods. You could be the start of one of these new gods, being born of this imagination. One great thing about warlocks is their connection to divine beings or aberrations, devils, oozes, you name it. It just creates very esoteric story elements. But usually with these stories, they end up in the warlock's patron being killed. In some campaigns, you may have already killed off some of these majestic creatures. But have you ever asked yourself what happens to those warlocks once their patron is killed off? So with the Unchained warlock, what if someone else beat you to the punch and killed your patron before you could do it? But somehow, some way, you still have retained some of their magic. You may still have inner magical scars that allows you to still channel the weave. Or as its patron, maybe some of its soul still locked onto you. Kind of like Voldemort and Harry Potter, I guess. Or perhaps you carry a piece of this patron on your person, which you channel your magic through. But now free of the ever-watching eye of your patron, you ask yourself, what do you do? Is whoever is responsible for killing your patron now after you? Or better yet, do you want to revive your patron so that you can return it to its former glory? Could be a very interesting take on the Stockholm Syndrome. In the case of this Warlock, the events was largely out of your control, but you still chose your pact to begin with. But what if your pact was not your choice and someone else made it for you? Let me introduce the Choiceless Warlock. And this could come from a longtime friend who sacrificed your soul to save themselves, plunging you into the servitude of an ancient kraken. This could also come from a grandmother or a grandfather who gave up their daughter's third child to an archfey in order to save their farm. Or picture this, you're an acolyte of some sort of god and they sell your soul off to somebody else to settle a debt. Or you could wake up from death and have no idea why, but someone demands that you owe them. Another instance is that you could be mind controlled into possibly making a deal with a lich. This could also be two deities or two greater beings who are fighting over your soul because you're the chosen one for both faiths. Whatever case, your agency is thrown aside for the greater good. But speaking of agency, you all can exercise your free will to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I know, not my best segue. I will never sell my soul for views, but if you think that this video adds value, it helps appease the algorithm gods. Ooh, that would actually be a good subclass. Pact of the Algorithm. That would be a really tempting deal. Nope, this cleric isn't multiclassing. But if we do reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'll probably do some sort of big giveaway. Possibly a book of choice or something. We'll see. But going on, I think that one of the most defining features of a Warlock is their relationship, a union with some other being. So with the Bond Warlock, what if your magic came strictly from that? The union. Not channeling the creature's magic at all, but the magic from the bond itself. This would be my second Harry Potter reference today, but kind of like Lily when she protected Harry Potter at the beginning of it all. The power of friendship, if you will. And I see this actually doing really well with the Pact of the Chain Warlock, where they get to keep a pet or something. Becoming so close to this creature that the love that you have for one another blossoms in eldritch magic. It could be fey magic from a fey spirit that you summon, or a draconic magic from a pseudo-dragon, or you could take one from the Golden Compass and have your companion either share your soul or your soul be contained in the creature. I could also see this happening with a loved one being trapped in a sentient weapon, and as you wield the sword, you gain some sort of magical capabilities from whoever put them there. Or the Pact of the Talisman fits perfectly as you literally channel a relationship with someone else. The pact could be in the form of that connection or the promise that you made with the other person. An example of this would be Opal from Critical Role. There could be other eldritch things going on, but mainly the feature of the twin that she had her pact with. Another way to look at your patron relationship is giving up control completely. You are only the vessel for something else to take the spotlight and cast your spells as you take a back seat in your mind. With the shared soul warlock, you become very similar to Split in the movie with alternate personalities. Or it could be like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you and your patron have full trust in one another. A spirit that shares your vessel and takes over when the going gets tough. This warlock could also be called the symbiote if you wanted to go more of a venom flavor, with which you could look at the ooze in a lithid tadpole or some astral spirit. But with other warlocks, these relationships are far less quality and more quantity. The relationships that they form are more frequent and fleeting. Instead of making a pact with one creature, it makes pacts with many. Here we meet the Contractor Warlock. Imagine someone who is summoning devils periodically and making deals with them, but making sure to write up the contract in such a way that it's a smaller deal and they don't sell their soul. Instead, they do smaller tasks for temporary power, and once that magic is used up, then they will summon another devil. Making these pacts could be the result of just wanting a thrill. It could be business opportunities, or it could just be skirting the system that most warlocks don't avoid. They could source their magic just from the last contract that they made, or they could be a middleman and make contracts for their patron, meaning that they get to keep their soul and their magic, but they bring others to their demise. And I know that I keep referencing like devils and demons, but these could literally be any planar being ever. But let's think, what if instead your patron is some sort of planar being, but something more familiar, something more on the material realm? What if a business or organization offers you this power to be a part of their system? With a fitting name, in my opinion, we have the Pyramid Warlock. You sign up with the promise of success. You may be tasked to go out and recruit others into this scheme, or you could go on different adventures by request, like a adventurer's guild. And honestly, you could still make this like a legit MLM or network marketing program. Or the group could promise you these amazing abilities, but the more that you're in the program, you realize that the only people who benefit are the people at the top. You never seem to get above 2 spell slots. What's that about? But this could also be another organization that gives out magic in return of service. You could sign up with the military as a patron, or sign a blood contract for a timeshare. But speaking of success, some people have to work for it and other people are just born into it. Or at least some people don't have to fight as hard to get certain things. Let's talk about the Rich Kid Warlock. This warlock doesn't really have to work for anything because what they have is given to them as an inheritance. Their patron could actually be a parental figure where they get their magic from daddy through some sort of arcane transference. Or the sugar daddy could not be genetic, of course that's an option, but these parental figures could be either sorcerers or wizards, or they could be rich enough to buy off another sorcerer or wizard. And with enough gold, this other wizard marks you with some sort of symbol and you start to channel their magic. If devils can write up a contract, why can't a wizard? And you could actually mix this with the Siphon Warlock, where your parents pay somebody else to go and trap a Hollyphant so that you can get your magic from. But whatever this looks like, this warlock spends little effort learning magic because mommy and daddy will take care of it. But speaking of magic that's not their own, let's talk about the insatiable hunger of the Absorber Warlock. With no one to offer them magic, they learn to go out and take it from others. They learn to steal magic from others by touch, much like Peter Petrelli from the Heroes TV show. Or if we look at Sylar from the same show, they could get their power from killing and inspecting brains. There's also a media trope called digestive assimilation, where you get its power by consuming the source. Examples of this would be the Wendigo or Kirby. And if humanoids are too much in your campaign, you can get your power by periodically consuming aberrations or monstrosities. It could be very vampiric in nature, where you soak up their stagnant magic after they're dead until your next charge up. This could also be really cool if your DM lets you change your patron subclass, like as you consume different things. And another way to look at it is, what if you were a changeling, and by changing into certain people, you can channel just a portion of the magic that they have. But whatever way you look at it, warlocks are full of narrative gold in storytelling. In many cases, it doesn't matter to the warlock how they get their magic as long as they have it. And to others, it's for the greater good. And if there's one of these 10 ideas that you really liked and want to see a homebrew subclass about it, let me know in the comments below. For now, the best place to find the ones that I've done is in my Discord. Next video will either be wizards or sorcerers. Haven't decided yet, so maybe you can help me with that too. But in the meantime, go out there and spread the good word of D&D and make the world a better place, both on and off your tables. See you in the next one.